Okay, I am streaming.
All right, let's go on TikTok. Oh, that's what I was doing. I forgot. I was trying to make myself a little background that had New Hampshire on it. I'm just going to do the same one I did last time.
Yeah, I gotta make the background too. Like,
I know. We got to just get like a branded thing going now that we finally agree on some branding stuff. All right. I'm going to just put a little quick background on myself on TikTok. I hope the Twitch friends appreciate the delight of being behind the scenes with us for like 3 minutes as we're getting our shit together on TikTok. Yeah, I'm not gonna do this.
this is the perfect place to put. This is I have like an intro, like a stream is about to start screen. Put that up there while you do this like last second stuff. I have a friend who's good at designing those pages, so he's gonna try to design something cute for us.
Oh my god, I love that.
Are you live on TikTok right now?
I'm going live right now. I'm trying something different. I'm trying to put a poll. Okay,
I
this is
think
becoming more of something.
might be having some connection issues here, but I think I'm okay. Uh-oh.
All right, now I'm live on TikTok as well. What's up, Bridget? We were just saying, I hope Twitch appreciates the like 5 minutes of us getting our shit together before we go live on TikTok. I want to add, okay, Arya. I want to add a little. I'm going to put a little sticker on there talking. Let's.
How long before she notices?
Why are you a fucking gingerbread?
Yeah. Welcome to New Hampshire.
New Hampshire talks.
That's right.
With the gingerbread bully.
Oh, we can have some fun with this. All right. Okay. Change that out now.
All right, let's see if TikTok dings me for putting Twitch in this sticker. That's funny. First comment coming in hot. Are you guys libs or leftists?
It's a great question. It is a great question. We are.
Man, I'm not identifying with any buckets right now.
We're left of liberal. I mean,
oh, for sure.
By every stretch of the imagination, for sure. Where we fall left of there is, to be. You guys will tell us, I guess. I get told every day where I am. Yeah,
We're on a journey.
For sure.
Like your little grandma in the background. Yeah, I don't know. I think that like I have a hard time bucketing it, right? Because of where we are in America right now and compared to the rest of the world, the way we talk about our own political scale. What's the word? Overton window. The way we like talk about that is so not aligned with like how anyone in the rest of the world thinks about it. So like, do you vote for Dems? Yes. I mean, generally speaking. But I think we evaluate candidates as they come. So today, all right, we good to go? You want to start?
Yeah, hell yeah. I'm good to go. Yeah. We
Oh
behoove you guys. What's up? Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I behoove everyone. If you're on TikTok, I would. I don't even think you need an account on Twitch to come and see us, you can like I think you can just get on to the website and watch us. And I would highly recommend coming on to Twitch and watching us because you won't be able to see. Today we're going to be watching like some stuff, so like you'll just hear about it from us if you're on TikTok, but on Twitch you'll be able to watch it with us.
Absolutely. How are you doing this morning? What's going on with you?
I'm good. I'm feeling hopeful. I went down multiple rabbit holes the past couple days, like just strategizing, trying to figure out what the future of New Hampshire looks like in terms of electoral voting and, mechanisms that are available to us. And, you know, um, I'm feeling hopeful, like I'm not like, again, I haven't read a lick about the Epstein files, okay? Because and it's just I am so over it because we all know the deal there, right? It just feels like a giant I hate to sound like a QAnon guy here, but it just feels like a psyop, dude. Like the whole thing just feels we all know what's happened. Like we believe the victims, right? So like I don't need any Epstein files
Right.
to come out, right? Like at this point, and then I'm still being like threatened with like, oh, but Democrats are on it. It's like no shit, dude. Like the whole this is the entire they've had these files for 14 years. Need I remind you guys? The DOJ has had these emails for 14 years, and I just feel like again we're talking about one guy being a pedo. This is a larger story. That's a much larger story here, which is the 1% has been running this sex trafficking ring right under our noses. The 1%, not in any part of the again, it's what we always say, the class war versus the culture war, right? These people are in their own world. The Bill Clintons and the Bill Gates and the Steve Jobs and the Donald Trumps, they're all boys in their own world. Again, people have to realize this. They are buddies. They are all buddies. They're covering for each other. And when they keep threatening us with this, I don't want to like get too deep into this. Obviously, it's just the lesson here is that they're distracting us, right? And I feel so motivated right now by like the New Hampshire Talk community and talking to Marissa and just trying to stay grounded, having a strategy, and working for positive things. We're fighting for positive net changes, not not with like shaming people or things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like the discourse has been a lot and I've definitely like checked out from it. I've talked about it on here before too. It's just a lot. And I think that a lot of
It
people
is.
who've had any kind of like experience with this type of like abuse in their own life, it just feels like sometimes it's just like too much. And so and I think to your point, it's like to what end? Like I don't feel super optimistic. I don't think like this is the moment that like everything is going to change, right? Like so I'm kind of what's happening at the federal level is happening. And especially with this kind of stuff, it's like, I don't think it's super important to the work we're doing here right now. And if good comes from it, great. And I hope that the victims are feeling like they're getting justice and they're getting heard. That's what I care about. But I think in terms of like us, you and I have been having a lot of really good conversations behind the scenes about kind of like retrenching and what what is the retrenching and the thing that kind of got me excited talking about New Hampshire politics in the first place. I actually saw a video this morning popped up in my like flashbacks or whatever they call it on TikTok, and it was me a year ago posting a video telling people to call Chris Pappas about some vote, something that was happening. And it was probably like one of the first times I had ever posted a video like that. And I was like, wow, it's so funny how much has like changed in a year and how much yeah, like when I first started posting, there was just like a handful of people that would find my accounts and be like, "Oh my god, I like someone from New Hampshire." And like people would just like get excited to see anybody talking about New Hampshire politics, and now we have this whole community of people who's like doing incredible work in real life. And we've been talking a lot about like what that looks like over the next month, several months to a year to many years, right?
Absolutely.
So one of we're excited to kind of dig into some of the free state stuff today. You've probably heard, I think people have various familiarities with like what we're talking about when we talk about the free state movement here in New Hampshire, but um a big piece of what we're dealing with here is this group that intentionally created a community, moved people here from out of state who have very intense views on how limited our government should be, and they have been very successful at getting those people into positions of power in our state government. And when people when people make comments on social media and are like, oh, New Hampshire is like such a mess, like people always, in response to our videos about New Hampshire, we always get comments from people who are disengaged that say things like, "Oh, New Hampshire is the Florida of the North," or whatever. Like the New Hampshire, insert New Hampshire derogatory comment here, and it's a response to like the insane policies we've seen very often, right? And um so many of those policies and what we've seen over the last several years are a result of this group, the Free State Project, moving in and becoming very successful in their plan to become influential in our state government, which they have succeeded in doing. So um, I think most average people don't really know much about the Free State Project and the Free State impact on like what we're seeing right now play out in Concord. And like, as a lot of groups and individuals are gearing up for the next legislative session starting in January, we thought this would be like a good space for us to spend some time and help educate folks a little bit. And there's this documentary that we're going to watch, or it's not a documentary, it's a news kind of report, several series, long series from NBC Boston that they did, I think 3 years ago. We'll have to check the timestamp. I don't know if you have it pulled up, Aria, to share, but it's a couple. It's the reality is that they've made a lot of progress since this was released, but it's a really good primer on who we're talking about, what they're trying to do. And I think it's just important for all of us to have this background as we're talking to people in our communities, talking about the political landscape. And we can push back against what they're doing, right? And I believe that we can, and I believe that we have the momentum to do that. So uh that's kind of directionally like what we've been thinking and talking a lot about. So I'm excited to kind of watch this with you today. I've seen this. I watched this right after I moved to New Hampshire and was like, fuck. Oh fuck. Um and I don't think Aria has seen this yet either. So Aria, what's your level of familiarity with Free State stuff? I'm curious to see, like, I think we'll have some good conversations as we go through this.
Um, I do know that they rebranded at one point. They were like the Free State Movement, and then they changed to the Free State Project, and they rebranded for a very important reason. And I don't know if they're going to talk about it. I imagine they will. But there was in Grafton County. I don't want to give it away here, but there was a book written about how they did take over a town um, in their first iteration and what happened to that town. It wasn't good. It was all the worst. It's probably like the worst case scenario you can think of on multiple levels. Ladies, you wouldn't get a choice between a bear and the man there. Let me just tell you guys that. You can forget about that meme, all right? Like, you get both. You get both of them there. That's the only thing I can tell y'all.
The true nightmare. A town full of bears and men. I don't want to be anywhere near there. But that's what our state house is becoming.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those men ended up liking children, so I think you guys would have been good, sadly. So,
Oh my God.
so yeah, so I mean, they chose New Hampshire for a very important reason. They didn't choose New Hampshire randomly. New Hampshire was the most accessible in terms of getting people here and getting them into office. And you've probably seen our interview with John Kuiper, who mentioned that like that's why the pay is so important, and that's why certain things in the state government are so important to stop this kind of takeover of. And again, like we talk about like the worry of millionaires and billionaires and their spouses. There's another worry where like a hive mind group can just come into this state and take over a chunk of government, and they have successfully. I mean, I'm pretty sure that the Speaker of the House is in this Free State movement. I'm pretty sure a chunk of them are Free Staters. They even run as Democrats sometimes, and that's like, again, these are some of the tricksy things that you got to be aware of here, because like they will like And they'll vote with Democrats on some things too, like abundance Democrats. They will vote on things like anti-zoning laws because they want to get more free staters here, right? But can we use that strategically? Can we use diagonal politics? Can we use the same tools they've been using? We're already here, man. You know, that's what we keep talking about, that we're already here. And we live here. We are the residents here. And why can't we use some of the same mechanisms that they're using? And again, we're going to get into the Free State Party. Let's get into it because we got a documentary, but we're going to watch some of this. We are going to connect this to the Tea Party movement because I think the Tea Party movement is going to give us a lot of lessons. I think we are pretty much in the same realm, maybe in a better realm, more potential, because I think there's more of us than there were Tea Partiers at that time. So yeah, I'm excited to explore some of this stuff, connect some of these things to New Hampshire and see what we can do, because I do feel like there's hope building. And I think hope is so important for this. I mean, any future movement, even if it becomes nationwide. And I look at Zoran Mamdani as this kind of, you know, North Star, which is, he activated people's hope. That's why they connect them to Obama. That's why they connect them to Trump. Even, I know you probably think like it's so ridiculous, but no, to political analysts, they're very similar. They're populists. They behave like populists. They say the right things. They're charismatic. These things are very important and we're gonna try to take a chapter from New York a little bit and like not be so we're not gonna. My thing is, right, and the very last thing I'm gonna say is that there is more people that are unactive. Like if you got half the people that don't vote in every primary, if you just got half of them to show up, you would win every election in New Hampshire. Anyway, I don't want to speak for every state, but in New Hampshire, the primary turnout, even in the most exciting years, is like 30%. Lower for even Democrats. I use 30% as the whole state. It's lower for the Democratic Party. That's usually Republican excitement that's getting people to the primary. So like that's like booing the numbers up a little bit. But I think there's so much opportunity here. And that's why I'm like not as angry as I've been with like some of the news and things that are going on. I feel like that energy is wasted, and we have so much potential here to make noise, to catch people's attention. And maybe these guys will give us a little bit of a instruction manual on how to get started on that. You know, instead of just hating on them, why don't we just learn from them a little bit, I guess, here, right?
So if you're watching on TikTok, I would encourage you can get on Twitch on your phone. If you're watching on your phone, you shouldn't need to set up an account. You can follow either one of us. The same handles that we have here are on Twitch. We'll be sharing the screen and you can watch along with us. If you don't want to do that and you want to like watch on your TV, you can do that as well. But we'll probably be pausing and talking and stuff like that. So the desired experience here would be to watch along with us on Twitch. And yeah, let's just get started.
Just get started. I'm gonna start at 1.5. We'll see how it goes. If we need to slow it down or speed it up or whatever.
Okay, cool.
Oh, let's slow it down a little bit. Hold up.
Bridget says for the TikTok people, she says, yes, come join us.
Yeah, come. A lot of people have come over, so.
Yeah. And then Twitch is nice too because you'll get notifications when we go live.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and there's an app too. You can get the app or you can go on the website. Like Twitch is just so much better of a live streaming experience for everyone. So, all right, here we go.
Don't tread on me. Don't tread on me. Don't tread on me. Don't tread on me.
I tell them we are the party of anti-government. They say, that's awesome. Holy cow, I didn't even know you guys existed. Where have you been all my life?
The Free State Project is simply about getting people who believe in freedom and limited government to move to New Hampshire.
We are the live free or die state.
We all agree on the one important thing, which is non-aggression principle. Don't hurt people, don't take their stuff.
Don't hurt people, don't take their stuff.
We believe in economic freedom, personal freedom. We want government to be as local as possible.
I just want lower taxes, smaller government, more individual freedom.
If you're a libertarian and you're the live and let live crowd,
Just come to New Hampshire.
It's really tough to hate us once you meet us.
I was moving for libertarian political
I
migration.
don't know about that.
Like a little crazy freedom utopia.
I spent 40 years feeling very isolated, and now I have thousands and thousands of people.
This is real. You know, a real community. This is a real project. This is really happening.
We want to be here to live our best life. Who can argue with that?
Who
There's
can
a
argue
growing
with
sense
that?
of urgency to address what's happening.
My heart was racing and I felt sick to my stomach.
People are just waking up to it.
They have been very serious about having people move into our state
Amy,
to change the way of life in New
trying to
Hampshire.
switch over.
They want to create this libertarian utopia,
Find us that way.
void of public infrastructure and common laws.
I think it's really important to recognize that the Free State Project exists because theirs is a minority view.
Some of the measures that they advance could really hurt people. I think it's frightening.
We've read our history, we know our history, and we see where things are heading.
Yeah, why shouldn't we be concentrating our like-minded souls in one geographic area so then we actually might have a chance of moving these ideas forward?
We don't want to wait for a collapse. We want to build an alternative, show people it can be successful.
We like New Hampshire the way it is. They clearly have a different vision.
They've gone down a path that's too dark, and there's no coming back from it.
Their end goal is really dangerous.
I just want to be with other people.
I want to stop and just quickly. I don't want New Hampshire to stay the way it is. Okay. Like let me just say, like, I don't, that guy, that's another extreme here that I think like we need to, again, messaging clearly here is, at least for me, right? I connect this so much again to this idea that the Tea Party was this little energized movement, and this is what they are. They're just a little energized movement. They have a clear North Star. They know what they want to do, and they're doing it because they're able to do it because there isn't enough excitement like to counter it, right? Like even in New Hampshire, it's like, we like New Hampshire the way it is. No, we don't. We don't like it the way it is right now. It's very bad the way it is. The way it is allowing this to happen, right? That's the whole idea. The way it is providing a hotbed of opportunity for these guys. Sorry, I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Marissa.
Yeah, well, and I think the only thing I'll add to that is like the piece of like the way it is as well is like the business as usual for the last however many years has gotten us to this place where we have all of these wealthy people that like only wealthy people are representing us. We have a highly disengaged population, like you said at the top. Like our voter turnout is abysmal. So we have people making decisions on our behalf that are not good, do not represent our best interests. And so yeah, there is absolutely Bridget says, you know what else is an energized movement? A little energized movement? Us, bitch.
Yeah,
And
no,
it's
for
true,
sure.
right? It's like there is something funny about kind of seeing the little intro here. And it's like, it's a lot of people, I think, that were drawn to this movement for good reasons, right? But ultimately, like it's a lot of people who are looking for belonging and looking for people who have similar views. And I've certainly felt that on the opposite side of the spectrum here as a progressive in New Hampshire. And the more I meet people from all over the state, the more I hear this idea of it feels like we're alone and we're isolated and there's nobody else like me. And so there is, I think, a similar hunger on the left for this level of like community. And as we move through, you'll see more of this. Like the community is important to this movement. It's not just about the policy. It's about these people feeling like they have a home and having somewhere where they can like be themselves. And I think that's really important as well.
No, 100%. I think there's like a different energy about being in physical spaces too. Like when I come to Auspicious Brewery, when you guys are like running your podcast, I think there's just like there is a different type of energy there when you're in physical spaces. And this is something we're gonna, hey, welcome, you made it to Twitch. We got another convert. Good to have you, Eliana.
Do you pronounce your name Eliana or Elena? Let me know how to pronounce your name correctly. But yeah.
Oh yeah,
so
I've been saying Eliana. Yeah,
here.
shit. I hope it's Eliana.
Because I feel like you and I have been talking about this. You've been talking about the Free Staters for a long time on TikTok, so I'm really glad you're here. And what was the last thing I was going to say too? Oh, Sina Han saying this is a really important point in time where we can stop the defunding of education and everything else by these loonies. Yeah.
Absolutely. And again, being in those spaces, we've been talking about it too, Marissa and I, like in the background. We should start showing some of our chats because they're like actually, it would be really entertaining, I feel like, for New Hampshire Talk to see. But like, just like having meetups, you know, even New Hampshire Talk meetups where we can physically be in spaces, because again, some people, I find a lot of value in this online space, mostly because there are a lot of shy people out there. There are a lot of people that like it's difficult for them to come out. Sometimes they're alone. You know, I used to come out to protest by myself. I luckily have like family and friends that I can call on that are like-minded now, but it's all about you know, empowering the people around you. And I think like once the real people get into it, that's when you start seeing like the real flow. So you want me to keep going over here, Marissa? You want to keep working on your audio? Yeah, I got you.
People who want freedom. We just want you to move to New Hampshire and help us make New Hampshire smaller government. That's all we want.
There are a boatload of us here, and there are more and more coming, and in a way, we're taking over.
There's no place like New Hampshire to raise a family and to plan ahead for the next 100 years.
It's not taking over to rule you, taking over to liberate you.
If you believe in America, you've got to take action when these groups come to town.
Trump didn't save us, Biden didn't save us. They're making it worse.
We have this legislation in front of us. It is a bill to destroy the United States.
We have the right to ask for a divorce.
We can't be supporting things like secession. This is insane.
It's really scary and it's really real. These people are crazy.
I don't know, maybe we're the sane ones and everyone else is crazy.
Hey, if you're on my Twitch stream, can you let me know if my audio is better?
Sure. I hear you. Your sound is probably better, but I think you're using a different mic than you were before. The quality is
Well, a really good thing is Pork Fest, which is in June. Someone with more knowledge read about that. There's a lady named Chris Lopez.
Is now a good time to discuss moving out here to New Hampshire and helping us build liberty in our lifetime?
My name is Jason Sorens. I came up with this tagline, Liberty in Our Lifetime. The idea was that maybe we'll actually see a libertarian society and we can actually see how it works.
You can find this guy on TikTok. If you go to the Free State Project TikTok, you'll see one. They're both goofy as hell, but he's one of the two goofy dudes that talk on there.
We're in my kitchen in Amherst, New Hampshire. All right, here you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I grew up as a religious conservative and became a libertarian really in high school, although I didn't have a term for it then. This idea that government is geared toward its own benefit and not necessarily toward the public benefit. So what we really need to do is just take power away from government and give it back to society to have a better society. In the 90s, that was a period of great optimism about human freedom and about the state of the world in general. There was this sense that the internet cryptography, globalization, all these things were liberating human beings. That already by 2000 and 2001 was being shaken. I was a graduate student. This is shortly after the 2000 election.
I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States.
There was this sense that the tide is turning toward bigger government. And so I was pessimistic about the future of the ideals of freedom at the federal government level in the US, and I was looking for an alternative.
Videos over on Twitch.
My dissertation was on secessionist movements, so movements for autonomy and independence around the world. And it got me thinking about how we can have an influence at the state level if we all got together and found a state that was already somewhat friendly to our ideals, where we could really make a difference. And then once we've chosen a state, we'll try to get to 20,000 signatures, and people have 5 years to move once we hit 20,000 signatures. Ultimately, we all got together and chose a state, and that state ended up being New Hampshire.
God damn it.
9/11
One contest you don't want to win.
We launched the Statement of Intent for the Free State Project. So there was a kind of mood in the country, basically, let's give the federal government all the power they could possibly want, just in case they can do something with it. And so it was not a very good time for libertarians. But then it started to change.
Iraq declared 8,500 liters of anthrax.
That was during the run-up to the Iraq War, and a lot of libertarians opposed that. There was a lot of opposition to the Bush administration and the fear of that they were abusing their power and tending toward tyranny in a lot of ways.
In the Battle of Iraq, the United States and our allies have prevailed.
Yeah, I'm going to talk on this too, but yeah, it sounds like you're using a different mic this time, Marissa.
Yeah, I think I'm back.
Oh, you're good. Yeah, I hear you now. I don't know.
Can you hear me now? Yeah. Okay, I fixed it. Sorry, guys.
Sorry. You're good. And I want you guys to just focus a little bit on the environment that is allowing the Free State Project to grow, right? I know they're talking about like what they did. And that room was full of like energized people making calls on laptops in a library. It's because of this. They're talking about tyranny. They're talking about like we're getting into wars. They feel like this fear coming, and it's scary, right? I mean, it was scary. This timeline was very scary. Millennials have lived through it all. Let me tell you, okay? It is a very, very scary moment in time. And when you're scared and hopeful, that's like really motivating. And so it's the idea that like these things, they're not just, sometimes the grassroots nature of them is because there's something happening in the background. Something major is happening in the background. So do you want to add anything?
Like, we're not in a dissimilar moment, right? Where there's a lot of fear as well right now. And I think people are feeling very motivated by that fear.
Absolutely.
And so that provided a good opportunity for us to recruit. There really is a kind of liberty community.
Donald Trump really did something for George W. Bush, though. I'll tell you, really whitewashed that guy's past, really put him off the hook. That's one thing I love talking about.
Law-abiding citizens we should welcome, which I did.
People started moving as soon as New Hampshire was announced as a state in late 2003.
When I heard the idea of the Free State Project, seemed like a no-brainer.
Every day, de Blasio was giving me more reasons to leave. So I knew I had to leave.
We have this beautiful thing called libertarianism, and what we want to do is create a libertarian society.
And as soon as I heard that, I was like, I'm going to go there. I sold all my stuff that didn't fit in my car, drove out here, and best decision I ever made. Should have moved here sooner.
I'm a very early mover number 50. New Hampshire's got beautiful white mountains, and we've got beautiful lakes. We have all 4 seasons. We have no sales tax and no income tax, state income tax. So it's kind of the best place to be.
It was theoretical, it was abstract. I didn't know what it would look like in practice, but the numbers seemed to work, the idea seemed to be plausible, and so I was excited about making the Free State Project happen.
All right. I've been waiting for 14 years for this type of interview. I'm ready. My name is Andrew Rice Hawkins. I'm the Executive Director of Granite State Progress. We are fighting for a healthy, just, and inclusive Granite State for everyone. This is my daughter, Annabelle. We're playing tag in a park in Concord. You got me. Are you glad our community has a park? Yeah. We track conservative and extremist movements in the state. So we started to follow the Free State Project. We run Free State Project Watch, which is a resource for people to learn a little bit about the background of the Free State Project. Our organization got started around the same time they did, and we just ended up in a lot of the same rooms and the same policy discussions. I can't understand how they can walk away with a completely different take on how to walk in this world.
Jason Sorens is the gentleman responsible for this crazy idea that he had published in 2001, the idea about the Free State Project.
The Free State Project is a political group that voted on a state to move 20,000 libertarians to take over state government and dismantle it, and New Hampshire is unfortunately the unlucky recipient of that vote.
This is a great day in the history of human freedom.
A few years ago they hit that 20,000.
We did it. Today, I'm here to announce that the Free State Project has officially triggered the move and that participants need to come home. You have 5 years from today, February 3rd, 2016, to come help build the world's first intentional liberty community.
The Free State Project has never been very transparent about who they are, who's moving here, who's running for office, and they're using the party system to try to get elected, even if they're not aligned with the values of that party. It's the whole reason we started Free State Project Watch. We research and produce a list of all the candidates we're aware of. If you can't be honest about your intentions, your values, who you are, voters deserve that information. They don't believe in strong public schools. They have tried to undermine public safety laws. They've slashed budgets to really bad outcomes for those local communities. And they've even threatened things like having New Hampshire secede from the rest of the country.
The House will be in order.
Libertarian ideas are not popular, which is why they had to move to one area to try to take over, to force the changes that they want onto the rest of us. They have this extreme ideology and they want to see these policies enacted, and they're doing it in some cases.
It really snowballed. I could never have predicted all the different things that people would do once they got here. But it's been amazing to see.
Thoughts after part one?
So, that was the full part one already.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was just doing some quick research while we were watching as well, and it seems like I'm like, I wonder if these groups are still active, because this was released a couple of years ago, and the Granite State Progress site like looks like it's not being updated anymore, and then the Free State Project Watch also appears to have not been updated in a long time. And so I know Bridget mentioned that there's a group, and I joined a call with them a while ago, a group that was kind of organizing around trying to raise awareness about this group. And I wonder if anyone else has any more. Bridget, if you have any other follow-up info, like it'd be good to know, like, is anybody still tracking who these people are? Because somebody pointed out in the chat that like most often these guys are not identifying themselves as Free State members, because they know that it's a stamp that people don't like. Go to Granite State Matters. I'll check that out too. But like they're sneaky, right? Like it's so interesting because they present themselves in this documentary as like, oh, we're all just like a family, and it's all just like we're this like quirky great group. But like once you actually start getting into the policy changes and what they're doing at the state house, it's like really pretty gross. So yeah, the fact that they don't identify publicly with these values. They try to, like you said, they try to sneak into elections as Democrats sometimes. Often they've been very successful infiltrating the Republican Party, but it's kind of hard to track who these people are, but they've been very successful.
Yeah, I guess it's a lot more natural for
What are
them
your
to.
thoughts? This is your first time.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot more natural for them to be mistaken for Republicans, I mean, or even to run on Republican policies, right? Which is, I think it gets a little bit scarier when, and not scary if you recognize it, right? Which is, again, there are areas of, it's called diagonal politics. I say it all the time, but someone coined it, an author coined it, Naomi Klein. She's a popular author. I would definitely go check it out. It's something that I talk about a lot, which is like, can you find areas in common with your ideological enemies, right? And like one of those areas I think of a lot is zoning, right? Zoning in New Hampshire. They want to get rid of those. Like, that's one of their big pushes. Like I remember this guy, the founder, he did a video about how they, got ADUs, you're able to build like a single family, to have like another house on like property or something, like a single family home on property, like these small houses. And I don't know exactly what the permit was, but I have a friend who has a nonprofit out of Pelham, which is affordable housing, these small like ADUs, right? Like that they do, and they've been booming ever since they repealed that zone. And that's a good thing, right? That's a good thing that has come out of Free State Project working with Abundance Democrats in the caucus, right? So they were able to kind of like cross state, be bipartisan. There was another law, another piece of legislation that I remember very clearly that had made it through the Senate, I think, and it was, again, the Senate was dominated by Republicans. It still is. It made it through the Senate, and then it died in the House somewhere. And this was to limit it was to kind of limit the amount of acreage you needed on, I know this is really boring stuff even for me, but like it's really important for people to understand how they make sure we can't build housing and we can't get more people here. But there are towns out there in New Hampshire that require you to have 3 acres of land to like build a house, right? Like it's insane. Some are more than, there's some towns that are more than that. Yeah. And there was a law that was passed that like limited those, like it allowed the state of New Hampshire to limit those, to like override. And I'm sure some of the state reps could like correct me on the details, but that died in the House. And that was something else that could have helped everyone, right? I think it could have helped us. It would have helped the Free Staters too. But if we're organizing as well, I think the Free Staters only use Twitter, guys. Like they don't have, and they're barely on TikTok. They don't have any kind of like, they don't have any kind of network outside of that. They don't have a live stream. They don't like organize with the greater Republican Party either. They're just word of mouth. That's how they were able to do this, which is crazy. So, yeah, I just want people to be aware that there are going to be places where we're going to have to start talking about, for the good of New Hampshire, where we can meet with the Free State Project without surrendering our core values. Like I'm never going to surrender on human rights to build more houses in New Hampshire. Okay. Like these are things that I'm never going to surrender on, but can we agree to just remove a bunch of zoning laws to get more buildings out there? And I think these are questions worth asking.
We've got some good resources in the chat if you're watching on TikTok. Granite State Matters seems to be the most active group right now that's talking about raising awareness about what's going on with the Free Staters and tracking that. There are some there's some information on this Facebook page. This is again Granite State Matters. They have some good information keeping up with what kind of press they're getting. There's some events, it looks like. So that's a good resource if you're trying to stay on top of what's going on with them as well. So I'm going to follow them additionally. And then was there anything else in the chat that I wanted to call out? Yeah, New Hampshire Liberty Alliance is another name that they kind of go by or they're associated with. And they have the gold sheet. This is what they use to grade all legislators, so that's a good place to look. So there's a lot of like very much, I think Arya and I are both very much intending to like stay on top of this more. And I think Bree says Free Staters have been better about hanging out than blue dots. We need to build community. Yeah, we were talking about this before, I think right before you joined as well, is that like so much, and we'll keep, if you want to we can get started with the next clip, but so much of what we see in this documentary is like how they've built that enthusiasm with people via community, right? Like we've been talking a lot about how their commitment is what has made them so successful, their commitment to the cause. And that is a big part of that is because they have intentionally fostered the community and they've pulled in all of these people who feel isolated and feel like they don't have a community and given them one and said, hey, now you need to work for your community to help us. And that is a very energizing prospect for people who feel alone.
Absolutely.
For afternoons.
Reminder on TikTok, we are on Twitch, same usernames. We are watching a documentary on a group called the Free State Project. Wait. Is this episode 2? Yeah, okay, good.
When I would talk about the government being corrupt and the wars being fraudulent, people would think I was wacko. When I got to Porcupine Freedom Fest for the first time, I found out that I wasn't the only person in the world that felt this way.
That was a wacko. You're right, there's a few of you.
All right, so PorcFest stands for the Porcupine Freedom Festival.
We have a big summer event called the Porcupine Freedom Festival. That's held up north of the Notches in Lancaster, New Hampshire every summer.
And it's a week of everyone gathering, celebrating the success of freedom and the Free State Project, where
2,000 people show up every year to that.
The idea behind PorcFest is we want to convince people that are like-minded, convince them to move here.
Pork is for porcupine, I guess.
Again, so I decided, hey, I've been thinking about this Free State thing for a while, you know. That looks like a ton of fun. A freedom festival, like it's like 4th of July, but
oh my God.
People who actually love liberty.
Hold on and be brave. I know you see that coming wave.
Porcupine.
The water is dear if we want to live in the fire and our hearts is ours to give.
My name is Carla Garrick, but my friends call me Queen Quill. I moved with the Free State Project in 2008, so I'm sort of an OG early mover.
Oh my God.
I'm originally from South Africa. It was a nationalist apartheid police state, and I won a green card in the lottery in 1994. When we left South Africa and came to America, it was this relief. So we went through the dot-com bubble.
Okay,
and we were like, America
okay.
is awesome. They give you
South Africa? That's not surprising at all. At all. Anyone that knows anything about South Africa, oh my God, dude. I can't believe they're, oh my God. That makes a lot of sense. I had no idea they had a little bit of apartheid in them, you know what I'm saying? Like, before they came here with it. Jesus. I don't know if you want to add anything. I just wanted to let people know that fits the bill. The South Africa lore fits the bill here a little bit, okay?
massages at your desk. We had no idea that it wasn't really a normal economic cycle. And so when that crashed, actually, my husband lost his business, our company folded. So we were like, what just happened? And so having gone through that experience, it was the internet, it was the early days, we're all doing research, all the rabbit holes. And one of the rabbit holes took me to the Free State Project. And it's everything from you have a little more money in your pocket because taxes are lower, but it's also connecting with a community that's like-minded and just finding some friends. I mean, we're all weirdos, but it's like finding your tribe of weirdos. And then everyone's like, oh, you should run Pork Fest. So no good deed goes unpunished, and that's sort of how I got involved. I mean, it's kind of like Christian Kemp with harder drugs.
You have a bunch of people walking around heavily armed and trading pot brownies. People think that's impossible, but it's here, and nobody gets shot and nobody overdoses. It really is this magical.
Diagonal politics.
I grew up in New York City. I had never seen so many guns in my life.
I'm carrying a SIG P365.
The right to keep arms is necessary to the security of a free state. Because the whole point of that.
I should tell you guys that I just want to, like, a little, piece of information. Marissa and I have considered reaching out to Free State Project and smoking with them and doing a podcast. There is chat evidence of the two of us formulating a strategy of, like, reaching out to the head of the Free State Project and, like, all of us just smoking the same shit and just having, like, a conversation, like, for a podcast.
I just want to talk.
Yeah.
I just want to talk. I feel like it would be great content, right? I feel like it would be really good content.
It would be. It would be. They would have some really clippable moments, I think.
Is for you to be armed, potentially against your own government.
The foundation of gun control is to stop freed slaves from seeking repercussions against their slave owners. Honestly, more guns means more freedom.
It was such a culture shock for me that I had to get over that. I spent 40 years feeling very isolated. And now I have thousands and thousands of people whom I feel very safe with. It's going to be hard to find a more peaceful festival than Pork Fest, because that's our whole basis.
Everyone here is free to be who they are and don't have to deal with Uncle Sam sticking his boot up our patooties.
These are my people. All the quirkiness and everything, I love them.
Right here. Really what it is and what unites, I think, everyone on the campground is one thing, and it's the belief in the ethical stance of the non-aggression principle.
We all agree on the one important thing, which is non-aggression principle. Don't hurt people, don't take their stuff.
Don't hurt other people, don't steal their stuff.
Unless you're
so
trans.
The porcupine is a non-aggressive creature. The porcupine does not hunt, but it has a defensive mechanism.
Porcupines are cute and private and live and let live, and they have spikes if you try to attack them.
So it is, in a way, a libertarian animal, and that's why it ends up being the symbol of the Free State Project, and later on the Libertarian Party also adopted it.
Throughout the Pork Fest, there's a porcupine that gets built. It's like twigs and sticks and wooden stuff. And then there's a bonfire every night. People hang out there all night. So on the last night, they burn the porcupine.
We're peaceful people, but we don't want to take shit, and we're not going to take shit. But that, if you leave us alone, we'll leave you alone, and that's what makes New Hampshire perfect. Ultimately, it is the state motto. It's live free or die. And General Stark said, live free or die. Death is not the worst of evils.
We have to say our favorite event to follow along with is Pork Fest. They just let it all out.
What on earth?
You really see what they want society to look like. For them, it's a big party. And it's a time where they plot for furthering their agenda.
We're going to find people who are already identified as libertarian. And we're not going to convert them. We're just going to bring them together.
My passion is making New Hampshire free, and I'm like, we're only trending in one direction. We are just going to become more and more free.
I'm going to talk about secession.
Ken's, thanks for popping in. Appreciate you. Appreciate your work. I saw you're in it. You're in the thick of it right now. Let us know how we can help. We are here for you. But I just wanted to point out that their point about like, let's also find the people that are here that already have these beliefs but aren't connected to each other. And I think that's the opportunity that Arya and I are both very energized by right now, which is this idea that like we have found and come across all of these people from all over the state that have that same feeling that are very very left leaning people, but just feel as if they don't have any place to express those feelings because of their surroundings or the people around them. And I think there's a lot of power in being able to connect to those people. And I think we've seen just the beginning of that. We've seen that begin to happen as people start to coalesce and that connective tissue starts to come together. But I think there's a lot more intentional work. And that's what we're trying to do. And again, I think this is just the beginning of what that looks like. And I think there's a lot more we can do. But I love the ideas in the chat and keep them coming because this is kind of what we're thinking, right? You guys you're right there kind of with us in terms of like how we're thinking about this. I don't know, Ari, if you want to say anything else, or you can go ahead and
Yeah, I mean, I think there is something to be said about the Free State movement that is different than a lot of kind of upstart movements, which is there is this level of positivity in their movement. It's not like, guys, run to New Hampshire, we're scared. It's run to New Hampshire so we can build something better, right? And how that drives people, what the tone of that is, what the content is that comes out, you're blasting this megaphone out to people. People want to see that. Now, I think of things like you go into the North Country where like Bree is, right? And you got these areas, these pockets of blue that we don't head up to see, like where I'm in Nashua, it's like hours. It's the same distance to get to Montreal sometimes in some areas, right? It's like kind of insane. But there are people up there that are blue dots in a red hellhole, for lack of a better word, right? And again, there is a level of pressure for them that they live with their neighbors, they live with they have a community they have to deal with, and it's like they have to do like a cost benefit analysis here where it's like, is it worth them coming out and fighting for Medicare for all when they have to deal with their neighbors every day at the supermarket, right? And I think the idea here, and these are very real issues in cities and towns that have less than 5,000 people in them, or like, again, just remember every representative in New Hampshire, I think represents between around 3,500 people. That's why you have 400. So like, that's not a lot. Like there are states where people represent like hundreds of thousands of people. Like here it's 3,500, So like this idea of like and I think other people have talked about this. I'm pretty sure David Bates has even talked about this. This idea of running a candidate in every fucking race. Every race. You find someone in every town, in every district, every school board, every executive council, you get them to run, even if they get clobbered in that race. Because what's happening, right? Let's compare again this idea of someone not running and running in a race that they're absolutely going to lose. Okay. Exactly. Sinahan is saying it in Twitch. The first thing is you are running resources from the other side. The other side has to use resources there in a race that has someone in it, right? If you're alone, no one's going to spend money. No one cares. They move on somewhere else. The other part is, again, the Overton window. Let's talk again of the Overton window, where you are starting to have these conversations in towns and cities that normally do not have these conversations. Even if you have one progressive in a sea full of red, that progressive normally would not have been empowered enough to even run. And because they are running, they are talking to people. They are campaigning. We're helping them campaign, right? We're talking about them because this is something that we are promoting. And that was, again, going back to the Tea Party was way more organized then. They were disciplined, organized. They They put it down to a formula, and they showed up like incessantly. Like they were brutal. They showed up everywhere and they were disciplined. That's the main thing, being disciplined here. You can make so much change with a small group of people. And I think, again, if you just have contrast in every race, just put contrast in every race. That's what I keep talking about, contrast. New Hampshire doesn't have enough contrast. Now let's blitz every one of these races. Every single election available in New Hampshire, we find a progressive. We find a progressive for it, even if they get clobbered. We empower them, and if they don't win this time, they will win next time, or the time after that, or the time after that. The Tea Party didn't happen overnight. I know some of us want to see changes overnight, and with the way the Trump administration is working, you will have natural momentum going into 2026. I truly believe Democrats will perform well in 2026. If your metric, or in 2026, yeah, 2026, if your metric is winning races, they will do very well. But will those races amount to fear? Like, again, is it fear or hope? Are you going to show up to vote because you're scared of Trump? Or are you going to show up to vote because the primary candidate is actually going to be running on things that will make your life better? Right? Those are the types of questions we want people to be asking now. We want to drive this point home that, like, we aren't going to listen to anyone. And we don't mean this negatively. Like, we mean we are going to go coalition build, but this idea that we can't, in this community, starting with whatever this group is, the 10, the 20 of us that are active, 30, 40, it's growing exponentially. And this is going to transfer. Yeah, way more than that. I mean, it's just the active chatters. And at some point, that is going to, and even now it is, but like this idea that it's not going to translate into something real, into something exciting where they're not going to be able to stop you. Like I showed the Eric, a lot of people, we'll talk about the Tea Party too, but like that race against Eric Cantor tells you everything that you need to know. In 2014, he was the number 2 Republican in Congress. You know, his primary was a afterthought, and they spent 25 times what the Tea Party did, and they lost. And that was the beginning of the end. And all it takes is one moment like that in New Hampshire. One, Maggie Goodlander getting a primaried, or one Maggie Hassan getting primaried. All of a sudden, that goes everywhere. That is, all of a sudden, you have activated the whole state. And when it gets to the general, this is why I want people to really focus on the primary. Because when it gets to the general, natural Trump hate will power the Democrat. People will show up and vote for the Democrat in the general. They will. So people need to stop focusing on the general. That's going to be my one message all the way through the next year, is that everyone focus on the primary. The primary. That is how we strike fear in the heart of the country. That's the Eric Cantor moment. That would be the Eric Cantor moment for the left progressives in the country. I'm not talking about just New Hampshire. I know it's delusions. I'm having delusions of grandeur here, but this is one of the homes of the establishment. It is the establishment mainstream here in New Hampshire. It is one, because it is a first in the state primary. So they have so much institutional power. And if they hear that progressives in New Hampshire, the most Alabama of the North state that they keep calling us, actually just knocked off one of the stalwart senators in the state in a primary. At that point, the general is an afterthought. The general is an afterthought. You will win that race just from Trump hatred alone. And I just want people to think about the primaries as much as they can. That is the day that we focus. That's the day we send reverberations around the country. And so let people worry about the general. We worry about the primaries. We primary everyone. We put someone in every race.
I love that. I just want to remind folks who are watching on TikTok that we are watching the NBC Boston deep dive reporting on the Free State Project over on Twitch. So if you want to watch along with us, this This feed might get quiet in a second because we're watching on Twitch. And I wanted to just quickly highlight, Pat left a long but good comment that I'm just going to read out loud. I think Ari is correct, but because the right has been allowed to F everything up and the pendulum will swing back. The solution isn't as clear for a left-leaning or long-lasting change because people need to be fundamentally educated on how to make these changes that aren't going to affect their taxes or wallet or life negatively. It's easier for Republicans to appeal to people's lack of knowledge on literally anything, quote unquote. They're going to raise your taxes and people listen. I mean, we know that in New Hampshire, especially, right? Is like that is the line that strikes fear into the heart, and that's how like Democrats have been kind of like boxed in for years because they sort of make this commitment to not increase taxes because it's such a hot button topic. But that's where my perspective on like class, again, this is bigger picture, my perspective on class consciousness being one of the most important things that we need to keep talking about, because once people make the shift in their brain and understand that we can pay for all of these things by closing loopholes and taxing wealth hoarders and wealth hoarding corporations, we can have a future that we all deserve by literally just taxing wealth hoarders appropriately. Once people understand that fact, and it's like the reason that we're not doing it is just because people are protecting those wealth hoarders. Once you kind of like internalize that truth as reality, you kind of see the bullshit and all of that stuff more easily. And so that's why like I'm always pushing people to like stop letting people engage you in the Republicans versus Democrats argument. Stop letting people engage you in like the bullshit straw man arguments that they're making up, and focus on the billionaires, focus on the corporations, focus on how we are not taxing those at the top appropriately. And if we did, it could pay for everything.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I am 100% with Pat that like it's messaging, man. You know, it ultimately is messaging. It's educating, and I think like Democrats used to be okay at that. Like they never were great. They never were better than Republicans at that, at like the propaganda game. But this idea that like they they've run from populist policies. They are completely captured by donors and lobbyists. So there's nothing we can do, I think. And again, this is where I've had like a fundamental shift in my attitude on this, where part of like my toolkit was trying to convince establishment Democrats that they're making the wrong choice, right? That was always part of like my toolkit. But over the last few election cycles, there's no excitement to get out there. And again, excitement grows when you do educate people, when you do message them, when you do give them like the potential of possibilities and, you know, what their future can look like. And again, I think hope, when used correctly, fear is a great tool too, but hope, I think, is way more powerful, and I think is more long lasting and will create a better energy for a movement, a better like kind of staying power for a movement. But I do think it is incumbent on us. And again, maybe Zoran Mamdani again was another sign of the things to come, that like his campaign was run by marketers, not by political consultants, right? So you had a fundamentally different view of how these campaigns should be run and messaged. And again, me and Marissa and I, for example, we're not political consultants either. You know, we're residents. We get a set. I mean, by the definition of what a political consultant is now, I think we could make some money. But this idea that we're just regular people too, that have jobs that, you know, are, you know, they're important for what our party's doing and what the government is doing, but we are feeling the same type of anger and like frustration and kind of just distrust that everyone has been feeling. And these feelings, again, are not unique. Just remember that like in your lifetime, people have been able to turn those feelings into fundamental national change. What you see in the country right now.
I just wanted to say to
yeah, just the last thing, the domination of American politics, that was from the Tea Party. That is literally everything that you're seeing right now is a culmination of what the Tea Party ended up doing in America.
Arya's got a tiny bit of an audio delay, so he's not cutting me off. He just doesn't hear me yet.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys.
But I just wanted to say, no, you're fine. I just wanted to say I agree with your point about marketing. I think that's the piece that feels like it's missing is like, how do we actually not just do traditional marketing for these campaigns and not just like be on TikTok, right? But like, how do you do these things to get attention and drive real interest? And that's what we saw with Mom Donnie's campaign. And yeah, to your point about us, like, I don't know, I don't talk about work a lot, guys, but that's what I am, a very established, pretty successful marketer. I'm really fucking good at marketing. So I am ready for that challenge. Let's fucking go.
Yeah, hell yeah. All right, let's do this.
This is Secession 101, an individual state withdrawing from a union of sovereign states.
If you want to give a talk, you just sign up, you give a talk. If you want to teach a class, you sign up, you give a class. People attend, people don't. It really, truly is nobody pushing anything on anybody else.
Oh. We'll have somewhere around 800 events. Everything from knitting to putting together a Glock.
Everything from crypto and Bitcoin, gold, silver, to things like building rockets for kids or decentralized platforms.
8 to 10 o'clock each morning, we have free pancakes at our hub. As long as there's a big crowd here, we're just keep making these. We produce about 300 pancakes in the course of 2 or 3 hours.
I guess there's a body clothing optional group down there that I still haven't seen. So it really is like a little microcosm of what freedom is.
I'm retired military, so I've lived all over the world, but I had been living at the time in the early 2000s in Albany, New York. I made the move here in 2020. I just walked around and listened to speakers, and I really kind of fell in love with the idea. When I got my New Hampshire driver's license, I looked at it like, wow, I really made the move, you know? And for me, this is heaven, you know? The bears, the trees, and me.
I have a different way of living. Hi, I'm the girl who doesn't exist. My real name is Katura Lamb. I don't have a social security number. It's our family tradition not to have one. A lot of people believe that if you don't have a social, you can't do anything with your life, but it's not true. Like, I have passports. I work. So I got my banking account and then my driver's license. Yeah. But the main benefit that I have seen is that you don't pay income tax. You're going to keep 100% of what you make. So here's a paper proving that I don't exist. What we're doing here was sort of like the Montana version of the Free State movement. I appreciate the Free State movement, but also I like where I'm at in Montana.
I love it. Good work. Take care.
They have been very serious about having people move into our state to change the way of life in New Hampshire.
We're a 501c3 nonprofit, so we are an educational nonprofit that tries to educate people about the benefits of living in the great state of New Hampshire.
In PorkFest, they actually have run for office workshops, and they say, tell us where you moved and we'll tell you whether to run as a Democrat or a Republican. For us, it's always a time of the year where we see who are their corporate sponsors this year, what kind of bills are we going to see at the State House next year.
My name's Bruce Benson. I'm running for U.S. Senate representing New Hampshire.
And this is where we start getting into the political kind of mastery here, right? Which is how to run for office, help people understand if they should run as a Republican or a Democrat, depending on what district that they're living in. Like they're positioning it as like, oh, we're just like this happy family, whatever. But this is like absolute like political chess. And when we think about like what are things that we can be doing in the progressive movement in New Hampshire, it's stuff like that. Arya and I were going back and forth this morning about like voter registration and stuff like that. I know there's a lot of groups that do voter reg, but like what else can we do beyond that to encourage people to run? And how do we incorporate that into our community? How do we incorporate that as like just a part of the DNA of how this community operates? Is like, as we're doing advocacy, as we're doing community building, as we're doing bonding, all these other things, how do we incorporate this idea of like, hey, let's start figuring out how we can elevate some of these people into positions and actually start running?
No, I mean, I think I think it's a great point, and it's definitely something. Again, there's always this. I think about like what you're saying on a greater like messaging platform, which is even when you talk about things like no kings and protests, like there is this bridge. There's always this bridge that is like just not being focused on, and I think what we're doing can be one of those bridges too, in terms of being that empowering tool for people to feel like they can make a difference. And I think a lot of people can. And this is a bit of a blueprint.
And what was you see the whole spectrum of engagement here too, right? And I think about that even in what we've seen take place in New Hampshire over the last year, and we've seen sort of the community coalesce online. It's like you have this broad spectrum of people, right? Where you have people like Elena, who is like on TikTok and has been in the state house and is helping people understand what it looks like from a state rep perspective. You have Ben Ming, you have all these other people that are like sharing that perspective. And then I also and then the piece of it that I think a lot of people don't always see, because I know a lot of it probably is coming through my account specifically, is like all of the people that are saying, I've like literally never even paid attention. I don't even know. I didn't even really know who Jean Shaheen was. I just voted for her because she was a D. And I voted for Chris Pappas because it was a D. And these people are paying attention for the first time. And I think that that's a piece that everyone doesn't always see, but we do. Like we're already seeing this spectrum of engagement form. And I think creating a space where it's okay to be anywhere on that spectrum, because we're just happy that you're here. And if you're here, once you're here, we can help you get to other places. What else can you do once you're in the door? And I think that's the power of something like social media, where you can, if you can just get people a little bit interested, it's again, it's marketing, right? And I was thinking about this last night. It's a marketing funnel, right? Where you've got, we've got to get people in at the top of the funnel. You get them in by posting videos about Heath Howard yelling at Jean Shaheen, right? I'm sorry, I've posted 30 videos about it, right? But people are paying attention to it. And that's how you get people into the friggin' funnel. And then once they're in, you start moving them down the funnel to take more activities and to take more high value activities. And we're seeing that happen in this community already. I see it happen every day. I hear examples of it every day. And so I think taking that seeing the success of that here as well is like, how do we meet different people where they're at in their journey and where they want to be in their level of like engagement in matters of advocacy or advocating on behalf of specific groups, or like whatever the piece is that brings them in. How do we kind of move them further into the funnel or like bring them in a different way?
Yeah, no, I mean, and this just, I've said it before, it provided a great opportunity for progressives to message off of it, and again, to get more eyes onto New Hampshire, because I am of the belief that New Hampshire is going to require outside eyes on these candidates for us, for momentum as well. I think that was the major difference for Zoran Mamdani. His popularity went through the roof as soon as some of these like nationwide podcasts and these nationwide progressive groups started talking about him. And I think that's where the mutual aid comes in. It's very important for us to find ways to get more eyes here. And, props to Heath Howard. He provided not only help to his own campaign, but help for us to provide that for him. So.
And I've been coming to these pork fests for about 10 years. This is my 5th one, I think.
Julian, ACR, Governor of New Hampshire. I'm running as a Republican, but I land very libertarian on pretty much everything.
Lily Tang Williams. I'm running for Congress this year in New Hampshire. Immigrants come here from all over the world trying to live their American dream. And with today's country is, like going down the wrong direction.
Free staters have proposed bills and gotten them enacted into law. Free staters have won more and more seats as time has gone by.
We're a low population state, and we have an incredibly accessible state and local government.
I'm Jeremy Kaufman. I'm a board member of the Free State Project. I'm a libertarian candidate for United States Senate for the state of New Hampshire, and I'm a big, giant Free State shield.
So I used to run for state Senate, but I'm running for state House this time. We run for office because we just realize it is a way to affect the change that we want to see. But ultimately, if you're dealing with people who say, let's not hurt each other, and if we have a disagreement, let's talk it out, that doesn't seem like a crazy society to me.
If these ideas intrigue you, you should move to New Hampshire and come join me. A lot of people don't have that many friends, so we bring them here and we show them, like, this that you're seeing at Porkfest, this is our life all the time. Maybe we don't have as many bonfires at night or sleep in tents, but like the things that we're doing.
What do you say? A lot of people don't have any friends. Yeah.
That's all. Yeah, like literally, a lot of people don't have any friends, and if you want to have friends, come join us.
I have not. I was just like, all right, I'll go on, go online, find a place to rent. And then when I got to New Hampshire, it was, I've been driving for like 15 hours. I'm like, I gotta get out to Porkfest. Just get to the campsite and I'll just, sleep in the parking lot. That's what I did, just right where that car is. I almost couldn't fall asleep. I was so excited.
This is my world. But I love seeing and bringing people to this world. What sets this apart is that everyone gets to live exactly how they want, if even only for a week. And that is ultimately what leads a lot of these people to actually make that pledge, move out here and realize, hey, the week was great. What if this was every day of my whole life?
You're on mute, Arya.
Oh, but should we just get anything to say after that, or should we just hit the third one?
Nah, I'm good. Keep going if you want.
All right.
Each of these videos are like 13 minutes or something like that. We're gonna
Yeah.
see how much we can get through today, and then we'll.
And we're on 1.5x too right now, so it wasn't too bad. Episode 3. Here we go.
Pots and pans need a home too. I still have not decided where everything's gonna go, but I figured at least the pantry stuff I know is gonna go in here. Maybe some of the appliances. Instant Pot. This is a must-have accessory if you do not have one. My grandma sent me some wild rice in a bag that all I have to do is cook, so I might cook that later. Slowly but surely, we're getting there. I think once I'm all unpacked, it'll be feeling pretty nice. Measuring cup. I was born in Minnesota. Lived there for most of my life. I moved to Denver for a few years. I moved with another friend out to Washington State, and I was there for about a year, and then I moved to Las Vegas, and I was there for about 6 months, and then I was like, you know, I've been thinking about this free state thing for a while, so if I'm gonna move again, why not now? So here's the casa. I'm a gaming fan, so it's a growing collection. And then here we got the kitchen. There's a few bedrooms upstairs. Other than that, that's pretty much the place, other than the creepy murder basement. It's nice to be home. It's like, okay, this is home now. I found my people.
I moved to New Hampshire for the Free State Project. I sold all my stuff that didn't fit in my car, drove out here. Best decision I ever made. Should have moved here sooner.
I had been living at the time in the early 2000s in Albany, New York.
2014, I moved to New Hampshire. Every day, the policy was giving me more reasons to leave. I knew I had to leave, so by 2017, we finally made the move here, and best decision ever.
I found out about the Free State Project when I was 16 years old. I signed the statement of intent at that time.
I really want to try to experience being free in the short life that I have.
There is actually hope, you know, that you don't have to live in what I call the authoritarian 49 and be miserable and be surrounded by people who hate you. No one knows the future, and it's really hard to know the future. You can instead move here and be amongst people who actually appreciate your ethics.
Liberty kind of binds us all together, but once you're here, sometimes you wind up just kind of living a regular life.
There are a lot of great reasons to live in New Hampshire. It's a beautiful place. We have a great deal of liberty here. I hope they move here for those reasons and not necessarily to eliminate government here.
A lot of people want to believe that the government loves them and protects them and cares for them. My name is Dave Breger, aka Silver Dave. Hello, and welcome to the Silver Pool in Ware, New Hampshire. Come on in. We have some fractional silver and fractional gold.
Alternate currency is huge out here in New Hampshire, especially with the Free Staters.
I dedicated myself to the idea of making silver that people could use to exchange between each other to buy goods and services.
A lot of places around here, they'll take cryptos, precious metals, gold bags, silver.
We're at the Independence Inn in Stratford, New Hampshire. But now we have a Bitcoin ATM in the lobby.
Alternate currencies. A lot of folks out here are trying to escape the dollar.
People can buy gold backs. We have 1s, 5s, 10s, 25s, and 50 gold back notes. I'm Victoria Berger. My wife and I own Apple Knockers. Gold backs are alternative barter currency, and they are real gold, so they'll always have value. Even if gold back doesn't exist anymore, you can melt this down and you'll have that gold. One gold back is worth about $3.60, very thin amount of gold that's laminated in here. I know that they're becoming more popular in the Liberty community, and I want to attract people to come into my store.
Escaping the dollar is big because monetary control is a big way in which the government controls us.
The past few years, the interest in divisible barter.
I do want to talk a little bit on just currency, right? I am of the belief that like Bitcoin and like alternate currency, I think this is going backwards, right? In on a macro level, just we're going totally backwards here with what they're doing. But this idea with like Bitcoin and alternative currency, the only reason, okay, and the major reason why people push alternative currency right now is to hide their illegal activity, is to hide, like, you know, to get away from tax evasion and tax fraud. I'm not a Bitcoin hater, okay? I'm not one of those people that, like, I do believe that like the way it's set up right now is like a pump and dump scheme. I do believe in future alternative currency. I do believe in a global currency. The fact that you have to exchange currency from country to country is just so archaic, right? 98% of American currency is digital, okay? 2% is actual paper currency, is actual dollars, okay? So there is a place for that stuff, but again, like the reasoning right now, again, what a lot of these alternative currencies are trying to do is just escape legal action, is to use it on things that are not good, you know, and they don't want to be tracked using it. And that is a good reason for, I mean, decentralized currency, I think, is a conversation worth having. But I just want to keep in mind that this isn't like, you know, this isn't like some kind of moralistic move here because they don't believe in the American dollar. It's like they want to evade taxes. They want to, like maybe purchase things that they shouldn't be purchasing or services they shouldn't be purchasing.
Silver has increased.
Oh yeah, you're not gonna use them at McDonald's or Subway. If I go out to like Tap Room Tuesdays and be like, hey, do you want to pick up my bill and I'll give you some gold bags? That's how you escape, very peacefully I might add, control of the government is just saying, look, we don't care about your worthless paper. We've got something else that we value.
Thank you very much.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I wasn't always Silver Dave. Back in 2008, I was in Afghanistan with the Army Special Forces. I believed that I was going to defend freedom and liberty. I was awarded the Green Beret and a Special Forces tab, and then I went to a Special Forces team. And I saw all the different governments were in Afghanistan, and they were wasting huge amounts of money. The war is not for freedom and liberty at all. It's for definitely something else. I'm not anti-American. I'm just anti-murdering, lying, and stealing.
I think their momentum comes from the Free State philosophy. Reduce government, reduce budgets, reduce services.
Do you feel they need to be stopped?
Absolutely. But they're very patient. They have an agenda all over the state to infiltrate government from the town level all the way down to school boards, up through the New Hampshire House, up to the governor's office.
You shouldn't have to worry about having the rug pulled out underneath you. They're not transparent with people about who they are, what they believe in, and then they seek to make these really drastic changes that harm communities.
The thought of living in a world that is actually dominated by a libertarian philosophy is pretty terrifying to me.
The Free Staters have continued to move here. I don't see that changing. I see that we will have more libertarians moving into New Hampshire.
I'm Chris Lopez. My official title is Moving Director for the Free State Project. I moved to New Hampshire 2004 to be a part of the Free State Project. 2011, I became paralyzed. I fell 15 feet off a balcony. The community 100% paid for this wheelchair. They came together with money, boom, boom, boom. Do not believe what kind of magic is happening here. Whoa. Isn't this cool? Peace, man. When somebody is ready to make that move, I pass it on to the community.
Yep.
And
Hello, I'd like to raise my hand. It's just like fucking crazy that they're like, oh, we'll take away healthcare from everybody else, but like we'll look out for our friends. And also we're talking about like socialism and like communism right now is what we're talking about. Like literally it's like the two ends of the horseshoe meeting in the middle, right? Like, oh, wouldn't it be great if we all just were able to like, take care of each other? Yeah, it would be great. What a great, beautiful, ideal society where we can all just take care of each other and are not motivated by greed. But sure. Just take away everyone else's shit. That's fine. Sorry. It's like it's such a perfect example of that way of thinking of like, oh, I saw an example of how it worked. And so now it's my whole worldview because this one person was able to get a great wheelchair. I'm so happy that she got the medical equipment she needed. We should all be able to get the medical equipment we all need. That shouldn't be an impressive, interesting story. That should just be the reality of being alive in America.
Absolutely. And I mean, it's so funny on so many different levels. Like even this idea that like, bros, you guys left your own states. You didn't help your own states before you left. Like you were unhappy with where you lived, and you thought the best move would not to be helping your neighbors, but to leave and come here. And now you found a bunch of like-minded white people.
Who cares?
And you found a bunch of people that you're, a bunch of South Africans escaping, like, and all of a sudden you guys are the most charitable human beings on earth, right? And it's like it's so see-through. Like they don't care about anyone else. They don't care about like making like they wouldn't all come together if it was like a person of color's child who needed the wheelchair. Please, there's no way you could convince me. There's no way you can convince me. These people in this documentary specifically, I'm not talking about everyone, but these people, there's no way you can convince me. It's like a lot of your movements are based on thinking of a lot of this movement is based on thinking of the worst aspect of people. That's why you're creating a place that doesn't have government, right? Like you automatically think people are just terrible. And we're supposed to believe that you guys are good people, right? And evidence has not shown that to be the case either. So I think it's very fun. It's very funny,
Bridget,
the whole thing.
I just want to read Bridget's comment. The difference is we want to help everyone regardless of their views, and they want to decide themselves who can have a need met.
Absolutely.
And I think that is also where like there's a nice overlap with the Republican Party as well. And it's like, that's it. I think that was a good point, Bridget.
And I think, without them knowing too, I just like another perspective. I just want people to think without them knowing they are carrying water for capitalism. Like in a roundabout way, they are carrying water for capitalism because they're saying, you know what? You don't need all these services. You got us. You got charity, right? Like charity will help you. You don't need healthcare, you know, like, and that is one of the like propaganda tools of like of capitalism, which is like, oh, the churches will take care of you. You know, well, we saw what happened on TikTok with that lady calling the churches, right? Like, so there is I think the more time we have, the more time we hear them speak, the easier it becomes to like deal with the BS and like read right through it. So
community shows up. Everybody's moving stuff and it's like, wow, it's happening so fast.
It feels surreal. I'm really excited. I'm very thankful. Despite everything, you still have people here willing to help. Hey man, how's it going?
To have a job where I'm helping people to come to New Hampshire, to move to New Hampshire, I'm connecting them with other people in the community. That's like so meaningful for me.
I came to New Hampshire to be part of Liberty.
I think that they see that this is real. You know, a real community. This is a real project. This is really happening.
When you feel really alone because you're a person who sees things a certain way and other people, they don't want to see it. Suddenly you find a whole bunch of other people that see it that way too. I almost cried just right now, just thinking about it.
I used to be a real estate agent in Las Vegas, Nevada in the early 2000s, late 1990s, and heard about the Free State Project, and it really spoke to me. So I moved out to New Hampshire because of the Free State Project in 2007. Decided to start my own brokerage. I chose the name Porcupine Real Estate because the porcupine is the mascot of the Free State Project. It's also a gentle creature who just wants to be left alone. It's not going to harm anybody, but you don't want to mess with it. So it's sort of the leave your neighbors alone, leave us alone type of attitude. And it's really stuck, particularly with my individual clientele, who are almost entirely liberty-minded people. They like that we speak the same language. So when they come to me and say, Mark, I want a property where I can shoot and grow my own food and have chickens and build my house without a permit, I don't look at them like they're crazy. Our agents not only are real estate agents, but they're also Free State Project participants and movers and activists themselves.
I met Mark when I first moved here, and he's like, I'm too busy, I need agents. And I'd already passed my real estate exam in Alaska, so I was like, okay, I'll go get licensed. Actually, that was my first apartment right there. Third floor right there. The rent was $900 a month when I moved here in 2014. A little house in a neighborhood in Manchester. It's very late 80s, early 90s. Kind of reminds me of a double wide. The basic libertarian principle is you don't hurt people and you don't take their stuff. And I'm like, but to me, that's not enough. You also succeed in life when you're helping others. One of the problems with Porcupine Real Estate is you want to be best friends with everyone you meet. I want lifelong customers, and especially as Porcupine Real Estate. Like, we're building a community. These are the same folks I'm going to see at a potluck next week.
bro, everyone's white. Everyone's white. Like I just
like really.
And it's like the whitest white. It's not spicy white. You know, these are like the whitest white. And no offense to the whitest white out there.
Culturally white.
Yeah, yeah. And it's just this is just a cover, man. The Free State movement was just 10 years ahead of like those current all white communities that are actually telling you they're all white communities, the ones that are popping up in the South right now, and like Arkansas and like Mississippi are hearing about these random all white communities popping up. That's what this is. They're like hiding it as some type of like economic movement or government movement. And it's just, again, like, you don't have to like use your own eyes, dude. Like, I don't need to tell you any of that stuff. You just like, you know, you might get flashbanged here if you don't pay attention. So what do you think, Marissa?
Yeah, the chat is killing me right now. If you guys are on TikTok, join us on Twitch. We're watching this video together, and yeah, it really is, you know, the now I'm looking at it and I'm like, holy shit. I mean, I knew it was a lot of white people, but you're right. It really is just like this, this really gross thing. Yeah, I don't have anything else to add. We can keep going. I just agreed. Big agree.
It's our third annual Fall Festival as a client appreciation event and to attract new people to New Hampshire to visit for the first time. First 500, 600 of us have made a move. Most of us who are single, I've been really impressed with the number of families that have moved out here.
Now everybody make your best impression of a porcupine.
It's really been an amazing migration.
I want life to have more opportunities and more freedom for everyone, and I think it's here, so this is what I do.
Here's where I do most of my leisure time, then of course where I check the FSP calendar for what's going on. We do Taproom Tuesdays. Every Tuesday, a bunch of Free Staters will show up to a particular bar and just hang out and socialize for a while. I think it's like 30 or 40 people every week that set up a huge, long mega table.
That's not a pie, that's a spruce. It's always a big decision to decide to move somewhere, but it's more of a show, don't tell thing. I mean, look around. We're all
we're all here together, you know, and we're off having our separate conversations and all that, but like we're all here as part of a community. This is just a fraction of us.
My name's Kevin Haley. I'm a native of New Hampshire. I was a teacher in the state, worked with kids my whole life, and I'm an Eagle Scout. I'm here to move the needle of liberty a little bit forward. We do Taproom Tuesday every week. It's a good event. These two guys, I recruited both of them to move.
I was a communist. Slowly, my views started to change a little bit, and for a very long time, I was very like, no, I'm not a libertarian. I'm not, because they were always put out to be these like crazy, geeky type of people. And then I was like, you know what? I am. Why not? Who cares? Like, it's my life, you know?
You're
So he's a
the next
communist.
generation that I'm bringing into the fold. Both of these guys jumping into the Discord server were immediately like, I want to move, and here's my timeline. And immediately, we
Like he said, I'm a communist.
It's like for communists who don't like black people.
Yeah. It's exactly. It's like I'm a communist, but the communists didn't like me. Like so fuck it. I'm whatever you want me to be, buddy. Doesn't matter. Give me my chicken tendies. You know, it's like this is it's just so funny. It's just so crazy. Unreal.
It's like so interesting to see the social dynamics of how they're all like, it is such an important part of this for them, for all, like almost all these folks that they interviewed. And it's like, these are people who were not able to find a community. And I think that's a real problem a lot of us have. But when you talk to some of these people specifically, I'm like, oh, I'm understanding why you're having a hard time making friends.
Yeah, and I talk about this from time to time just because this is part of my like what I went to school for is just studying extremist groups, and it's the same thing. I don't mean to call Free State extremists, even though I do think they're a bit extremist. That's all it's ultimately about. It's about community. You want to feel a part of something bigger, and that guy pretty much. I joke about what he said, but he doesn't know what he is. I mean, he's at that table because they're treating him like a human being. You know, like he doesn't care what, you know, like that pipeline could be leading him straight to fascism. He doesn't care because he feels like he's part of something bigger, part of, you know, a movement. So exactly. Self-importance. Great comment in the Twitch. Yeah.
create a whole community of people.
Very rare.
Hey, here's where you can work. Here's apartment listings. Here's
Yes.
job listings. Here's homes. Whatever you need is immediately provided. And it's the quickest, easiest way to get people in. And that's what I do as an old man now, is try to get younger people to move.
Some people yearn for freedom and they want it, but a lot of people, they like the state and they like someone telling them what to do and how to live.
Ever since 2020, we've seen a big increase in people moving here from other states, particularly the states that were the worst about locking people down with the mask rules, with the jabs.
Most people in this room today
Friendship
moved
project.
during COVID. We're at the Shell, which is a
Maybe.
libertarian clubhouse here in Rollinsford, New Hampshire. No matter how crazy it was in the outside world, we could come to the Shell. It became a refuge from people from all over the area.
A lot of these people that believe in the ideas of freedom and self-autonomy, they feel like they're the only people where they live that believe in that. They feel alone. We're welcoming them home, but it's a very emotional thing for a lot of them because there's just nothing else like that anywhere else. A lot of these people left behind their families who might not have understood the ideas of freedom.
Every Thursday, we were just packed with new people, new movers, potential movers. People were finally realizing that where they lived mattered.
What really appealed to me was the motto I really believe in, liberty in our lifetime. I really don't think there's another good opportunity where we can experience any other project that has a likely outcome of achieving freedom. Several thousand people have moved already and thousands more are on the way over the next 5-10 years, who knows how many. And the point is, let's have a home together. I know there's a movement of people interested in secession from the Union and, you know, let's just not be part of the U.S. anymore. Certainly an interesting discussion, but I mean, if that takes place, then that's certainly another boot that we can take off of our necks.
Any thoughts before the next one? Could probably fit one more in.
Yeah, let's do one more. They love to generalize, no facts. Yeah, this is just, I think it's helpful background, right? And it really is like, I've been thinking a lot about like, as we ramp up whatever our specific organization efforts look like, and how we can make the most impact. It's like that social piece is so big for people, right? And so if it's like, how do we give people a place to be, right? Like we try to do that already, like with my podcast stuff and some of the traveling events we've been doing. But there's such a need for people to feel somewhere that they are accepted. And I think especially with the reality of the landscape that we're feeling in New Hampshire right now, where these are, this is like manufactured oppression, right? These people are like, oh, I'm pretending that I'm oppressed, right? Because I have these extreme beliefs. But we're dealing with people here in New Hampshire now who are actually being oppressed and are actually losing their rights and are actually like having real tangible suffering as a result of the policies that are being pushed by the Free State Project. But like, how do we for real give people a place to be and to be in community? And I think we all Davis says, I think organizing meetups around John Kuiper's campaign is a good idea. Yeah, I actually DM'd John after his campaign launch event because a couple of people in the chat were at his event. You know, it was at this big venue that and they had like a very simple like dinner. They had like chili and cookies and like drinks and stuff like that. There was a ton of kids, there was a band. It was like, and as just like a parent, I was like, oh, this is like a fun way for me to spend an afternoon. Like, there's nowhere I can go with my kids. Like, what do I do with I don't have kids, I have one kid. There's nowhere I can go with my kid in the winter. Like, what do I do with my kid? Right. So I was like, John, if you hosted an event like that every month and you like found a restaurant that would help sponsor some kind of simple like catered meal, do it as like a mutual aid activity and just be like, hey, this is free. Come hang out, come socialize, come be with other like-minded people. I was like, I would go to that every month and I'd help you promote it. Because I think that just giving people a place to be is there's a lot of power in that. And yeah, I thought his his campaign launch was a good way to do it. But yeah, I think that like the progressive candidates should be thinking about that as well. It's like, how do we offer people a space, right, to just kind of connect and be and build ideas? Because anytime I'm in real space with you people, positive tone. It's like everybody has so much energy and so many ideas. And then like so many ideas come out of just like two new people meeting each other. And like, I think it was like maybe at my last podcast event, I remember Bridget and Rat met each other or I was like, have you guys met each other? And they're like, yeah, we've already come up with like 4 ideas for like activities we're going to do and how we're going to support each other. And there's just so much power in that. And so I think as we're all thinking about not just us, right, but like as all of us are thinking about what do our lives look like over the next year and how do we make real change before these 2026 elections, what can we do in terms of like getting people physically into the same space?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's going to be the ultimate. I think we're going to have a lot of conversations about that. And even, I know me and you have spoken, off camera about getting the idea out there that anyone can have a house party, right? Like anyone can have people. It's really not as complicated as people think it is. And you'll get help with it too from people that have in the community that are used to doing stuff like that. The house party doesn't always have to be for fundraising for a candidate. Even I know Dave's in the chat, and once he mentioned like a couple ideas in the past, like when snap cuts were coming, and like this idea of like having parties just to feed kids, right? And like marketing that party as like a video game party, a board game party, right? Because like shame is a part of it, and like there are ways like to get people into the space. And I think once you get people into the space, they get motivated, they get empowered. And again, I don't want to like come off as like sounding special or anything, but like I go to events, I go to alderman meetings, I go to protests, people come up to me and they say like, like that, the alderman, the woman who made the great alderman speech that I shared, she was the one that I was giving the story about, that she like came up to me and was like, I am so fucking nervous right now. Have you done this before? And I'm like, this is my 3rd time. It's so easy. Like, if you know, like why you're here, like you're obviously, when you're speaking here, you're not being performative, right? You're here because you care. And people know that, so like be kind to yourself. And she gave a killer speech. She gave maybe the best speech there. She absolutely killed it. And I just think like that moment for her, we're mutuals on TikTok now. I'm sure some of you are, like, because she does post a lot now, but like she is activated now. She is like, she feels empowered. She got over that first hump, and that physical space with us, I think did a number on her. Definitely did a number on me the first time. It did a number on me when I met y'all at Auspicious Brewery for the first time. And it makes me think about ways I can kind of do this too. Like, I'm in Nashua. there are some restaurants here, some bars here that I'm sure I could go talk to and set something up and have like, you know, like a bi-weekly or monthly like NH Talk meetup here in Southern New Hampshire. And who knows what happens from there, right? Like, I mean, these things are, it's got my mind going, right? It's got my mind grinding with ideas. So I think we'll talk more about it as time goes on. What is her username? I will find it for y'all before I go. Let me.
Your story.
What's that? Yeah, I'm gonna put it on my story.
You just put it on your story.
Yeah, I'll put it on my story for sure. All right. Let me. We'll get the next one going here. This will be the last one for today.
Should New Hampshire peaceably declare its independence from the U.S. federal government? Some believe that this is a laughable question. Do they fear the answer?
It's hard to not have your voice be heard. I don't believe that a country of 330 million people should be managed and governed by an organization in Washington, D.C.
Trump didn't save us, Biden didn't save us. They're making it worse. No one's going to save us.
As things get bad, as gas goes to $5 and $10 and inflation is now at 8%, it's probably more like 20%. As people get frustrated with the leadership of their government, it's causing people to kind of look around and say, hey, maybe there's a different way. More importantly, work together to create a community, a state, that we live according to our philosophy.
I thought Governor Sununu said the best way, though. He's like, when crazy comes knocking at the door, you slam it shut. My name's Representative Brody DeShays. I'm running for re-election in Wolfboro and Tufton Borough, which is Carroll County's 6th district. When someone's young and like really involved in the process and elected and representing like a community of thousands of people, yeah, they're gonna be surprised. They're gonna say, you don't look like what I kind of expect. I love Wolfboro. It's my home. I plan on dying here and being buried in the South Wolfboro Cemetery. So that's how I feel about Wolfboro. It's my pride and joy. Something that was very interesting this year was a number of constitutional amendments put forward. And I read it and I was like, this is insane. A movement like a secessionist movement, it doesn't support our U.S. Constitution, it actually is a direct affront to it. And I don't think it supports our values in New Hampshire or in America.
What would that look like if New Hampshire were to secede in your eyes?
I would say paradise. Well, I'm the president of the Foundation for New Hampshire Independence. I'm officially big on independence. I'm Alu Axelman. I just finished a book 4 or 5 weeks ago. I published Presumed Guilty. 5 books total about freedom now, all about liberty stuff and how I don't trust the government. I still hate the B word. I don't like politics, nobody does. But I like keeping my own money. When they steal half my money, that'll get my attention. The biggest taxes are the federal income tax. They take 25% of the money every year. That's a lot of money. Almost every single problem stems from D.C. So if there's one thing we could do to fix all these issues, it's sever ties with D.C.
We have a secession movement here in New Hampshire. It's a pretty large one.
The first war of secession.
I'm working on it politically, and I'm hoping that we're successful. I think we're pretty close.
Honestly, I don't think New Hampshire will secede. Well, I mean, look, I want it to because I want to be president of New Hampshire.
I'm going to open up the Constitution Amendment on Resolution 32, and it's
I was gonna say
peacefully declares independence from the United States and proceeds as a sovereign nation.
While the people reserve to themselves the right to revolution in Part 1, Article 10, we are here today to head off any consideration of anything but a peaceful formation of a new government, independent of rule from Washington, D.C.
The last thing I'd want to see is something like the secession movement convince voters to leave the Republican Party because they don't view the Republican Party as a legitimate party. When I saw this, I was like, this is a bridge too far and someone needs to fight it. And, you know, I took it upon myself.
Everyone in this room knows the federal government is far from perfect, right? Democrats, Republicans, libertarians, anarchists.
Voters are going to decide whether or not they think their vision and their goals are worthy of being implemented in state.
We can't, as legislators, we can't push forward unconstitutional legislation.
Where I think we're genuinely misunderstood is that we are actually trying to fix and reform problems.
Face it, Granite Staters are abused by DC. What do we advise victims to do when they're abused?
And people don't want to hear it.
We tell them to leave, which means we have the right to ask for a divorce.
And people don't actually want to look in the mirror and go, oh my God, this is actually what's going on.
I forgot about the free stater thing. How many out here are all free staters?
They want to isolate us and say it's the free staters, but like I've lived here for 14 years now. I'm a Granite Stater. Like I'm not out to do anything other than to like be a good neighbor.
Even if you're against independence, even if you're in favor of the empire, in favor of continuing the union, you should vote in favor to pass this bill to let the people of New Hampshire decide. Because if you think it's a terrible idea to leave, surely you think the people of New Hampshire agree with you. And so therefore they would vote it down if it came to their vote in November. What's to be afraid of?
In 2017, we realized that there were over a dozen Free State Project members running for local office who were out loud and actively organizing for secession. So we published this report. This has always been a part of the Free State Project. Here they are actively organizing for secession, and they are on your local ballot.
Secession is part of the grand plan, is it not, for the Free State?
It is not, but some New Hampshire residents, including some libertarians and some Free Staters, support New Hampshire independence. I do not personally, so some Free Staters also oppose New Hampshire independence. So it's a debate that goes on within the movement. My dissertation was on secessionist movements or movements for autonomy and independence around the world. In my initial essay, proposed that the state...
I don't believe him. I don't believe that he's not for secession. he's covering his ass.
I don't either.
You know, like he's absolutely he just said he did his dissertation on secessionist movements. The fuck are you talking about? Go ahead, Marissa.
Yeah, no, it's like you just can't like believe a fucking word out of these people's mouths. It's like so obvious. I don't have anything else to add. We can keep going, but I
Could
just
use the possibility of secession as leverage to get more powers back from the federal government. However, in the follow-up essay I wrote 2 weeks later, I backed away from that and said, well, this idea shouldn't be a part of the Free State Project as an organization or as a movement. And so it really was never part of the Free State Project.
House will come to order. The motion before us is the tabling motion on CACR 32.
We have this legislation in front of us. It is a bill to destroy the United States. We are considering legislation to take a star off of that flag. That is beyond shameful, it is beyond disgraceful, and it is a stain on the proud history of the state that we even have to entertain this. A vote for this is really close to the federal definition of treason. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The House will be in order.
This bill has no one in the chamber voting directly on secession. It asks them only to allow those we purport to represent to make their own decisions.
This is a historic moment, not just in the state of New Hampshire, but it's a historic moment in America. This is the first time a legislative body has debated and will vote upon binding secession. It will be the first one debated since prior to the Civil War. It's a terrible thing to do to our constituents, a terrible thing to do to Granite Staters.
The motion before us is the ITL motion on CACR 32. 323 voting yea, 13 voting nay. Committee report is adopted.
Unfortunately, the
You know
state
what's
reps
so
did not
funny
see
about it
wisdom in
now,
asking the
though?
people what.
If you want to pause for a second,
Mhm.
like watching this now a couple years later, it's funny because we've had conversations about the sort of balkanization of the US, right?
Mhm.
And how like there is my personal belief is we might be in a situation where we see that federal government have less and less control and more regional control happening. Um, and it's funny because in all of those conversations, people always talk about this New England coalition and how New Hampshire is like this outlier. And it's just sort of funny that the way it's sort of flipped, that here they're just talking about secession, and now we're kind of in this position where we we could be in a situation a few years where we have states around us working to be a coalition and create a better future and create better living conditions, and we are ostracized because of the intense influence we have from the Free State movement. And so it's just kind of, it just made me laugh, like looking back and seeing like, oh, things have really flipped a little bit.
They thought.
Oh,
and
the
they killed
secession bill is
The bill
back for
failed,
the
thankfully,
2026
and
session.
it just
Sorry, what was that? Oh, there, it's back. The bill is
I
back.
was just sorry. Delay's
Oh,
killing me. Yeah.
okay. We're gonna have to,
Elena says the secession bill is back for the 2026 season.
keep an eye on that.
shows how extreme and how serious they are.
I think that secession is going to continue to come back because it's an idea whose time has come.
Hi, Manchester, and welcome back to the Carla Garrick Show. It's episode 30, and I'm delighted that you are joining me here today. The latest critics have their little knickers in a knot about
Oh, that was mighty close there, lady. That was mighty close. Hey,
for you.
calm down
Secession,
there.
Talk of independence, talk of reform, saying our government sucks and that we need to do something about it is about as American as you can get. So there's this lady, her name is Karen. I mean, she is a literal Karen.
I grew up in Minnesota, and I went to the University of Minnesota, and I moved to Atkinson. So we've been here 18 years to the day. And so now I have an orchard of 20 different fruit trees. I have 2 colonies, 2 beehives. I have 20 chickens, 3 dogs, and 4 cats. This is Pi. No matter where I go out, if I come out to go in the garden or in the orchard, she always comes to find me. I was just blown away that we could have any secession bill, that was just crazy and insane. I believe those 14 New Hampshire representatives violated the Constitution, and per sections 1 and 3 of the 14th Amendment, they shouldn't be allowed to hold office.
So today's hearing is at 1 p.m. It's up at the state archives. When I'm done shooting this, I will be heading out. My prediction is this is a big nothing burger and it's just gonna go away. Hi guys.
Good morning. The bill failed in the House, but we had a great discussion, great debate. And now, like 3 weeks before the Republican primary, a citizen filed a complaint with the Ballot Law Commission to throw the people off the ballot for proposing this bill.
Insurrection does not have to be violent. Any effort for a state to secede from the U.S. is a violation of the U.S. Constitution. It is both the Commission's authority, responsibility, and obligation to find that these 14 New Hampshire state representatives who have taken an oath to uphold the U.S. Constitution be ineligible to hold office in the state of New Hampshire.
I felt honored to be attacked, just being kind of an amateur politician. I'm Matthew Santonastasso. I'm honored that some people think that as a first-term legislator, I'm such a threat to the establishment that they would attempt to bar me from re-election. It was a political attack is what it was. There's no way that anybody could reasonably believe that that complaint would go anywhere.
So you weren't worried about it today?
No, I wasn't even going to go, but some people were coming here, some of my friends, so I figured I'd come and say hi to them.
My friends are here.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time. I don't see Wednesday's ruling as a loss. I see it as I was in the wrong place. I need to find the right place. I need to bring my compelling evidence and my petition to the people who do have jurisdiction.
So you're not done?
No.
I think this is a first salvo, and if it's a first salvo, I'm going to say we won.
The real victory is that people who had no idea about the Free State Movement, people who had no idea that there are state representatives who are planning for secession, they are now learning. I'm shining sunlight on some of the dark stuff that is happening.
One quick thought is, and then I'll hand it to you. Is somebody in the comments earlier, Arya, you were like, this is, we're working on our kind of like media influence and stuff like that. And somebody in the comments was saying like, well, they've got their own media too. I'm looking at Carla's social media and it's like, she gets like 3 likes on her post. So I'm curious if anybody in the chat knows like who today are the influential figures in this movement, right? Like who are people looking to? Because I'm looking at her stuff online and it's like she doesn't get shit for an engagement. And I know they've gone a bit more underground lately, but I'm curious if anybody knows sort of who's leading the charge publicly nowadays. Is there anybody that's kind of setting the messaging from kind of an influencer perspective, media, social media kind of thing? Yeah, that's true. They're all over on Twitter. That's right.
Yeah, I mean,
Arya, go for it.
that's the only yeah, I mean, I did like a little bit of a deep dive on them the past couple days, and that seems to be the only place that they're really communicating. I mean, I think they're trying to spread their wings a little bit, but the thing is that like again, they're just for lack of a better description, they're just a bunch of like not, they're like, I don't know, just I don't know how to explain it. They're not charismatic enough to do this. Like listening to them, and like, I mean, just after 4 episodes, they do not have the motion here. They can't. This is not going to work for them, And I see kind of the weakness in. Again, there's no diversity. There's no real like. It's just like government bad, and like it's like there's no. Like government can be more efficient for sure. It can be better, but I think every conversation, every talking point they have about like the inefficiency of government is like self-inflicted. Like historically, the party that you vote for has complained about government and gutted government all through the line, and then ran on the fact that government doesn't work. These things it's just stupid on its face. And again, we have to keep reminding people, okay, that there has never been a successful libertarian society ever. And the one time that they fully took over a town in New Hampshire, okay, and I know I have some mutuals that are libertarians. They're not going to like me saying this, but I mean, like facts are facts. I'm not like here to baby anyone through this, but they had their own town in New Hampshire, and the town ended up becoming everything that you would think a libertarian town would become. It was a hotbed for pedophiles. It was a hotbed for criminals. It was a hotbed for lack of human services, lack of police department, lack of fire department, and then bears. Okay, bears infiltrating the town because there were no trash services. Right. They had to rebrand from this. It was that bad, So I think like we don't need to reinvent the wheel when we talk about, again, they can call themselves whatever they want, but they are a bunch of white folks that moved over here because they want to build their own white community. It has nothing to do with, I'm sure they'll have their own white human services in town too, but this isn't enough. Again, they don't have the motion. They don't have the juice here to convince a large amount of disconnected people to come out and vote for them over not voting at all. You know, like again, that's the whole thing here, is that we are in a depressed state here in America, and this is where, in depressed states, low turnout states with high energy groups of people, those are the most successful people. Do these seem like high energy people to you guys? Like, does this seem like something that can spread on its own, like fire? I don't, I'm not of the belief that is. I'm not saying we shouldn't treat them as a threat, but I do believe that we could learn the parts that they've like implemented into their movement and realize that we have the actual like motion. I think. I mean, if you look at the way the country's polling is going, the Democratic polling is going, and again, if the contrast is someone that's like progressive going against a free stater, I mean, I think that's like, I think, Republicans who are massively against like secessionist movements would even think twice about being involved in that election.
I think a big piece of this for me too is just the education component around the fact that this is happening, right? And we have a little bit of time, right, before the 2026 election. And I think it's really important for folks to know that this is happening in our state. I think the other thing that I'd like to for us to get into a little bit more is a kind of get some more and Elena's in the chat giving a lot of great updates and information about kind of what's happening today with the Free Staters, because they have been extremely successful in many ways. Like, I understand what you're saying sort of from the social movement side of things, but in terms of enthusiasm, but like they have been incredibly successful at taking over our state government and dismantling our programs and causing real harm to our state. And so I think people don't realize that. They think it's just a Republican majority. They don't quite understand the free state sort of machine that's running behind everything. And so my goal in this is to get more normal people to understand that this is a problem and be able to have a conversation with their neighbors when they are in those situations of like, yeah, this isn't just a normal campaign with a normal Republican running against a normal Democrat. Like, this is this is a totally different thing, running under the guise of a Republican. And they've had so many of them successfully do so that they've essentially turned our state house into a free state uh dominated space, and by kind of pulling that branding to the back. So I'm definitely like, this is getting my gears turning. We're going to wrap up in just a sec, but from my point of view, it's like we have that energy, right? And we have that community already built, and they live here, and it's just starting, right? Like, this is literally, we have only just begun to actually harness the power of what has been building organically on social media over the past year. These people are just beginning to find each other and just beginning to collaborate together. I'm finding groups that are now meeting each other that are doing very similar work and just have never spoken because they weren't aware of each other, or they had just never been introduced. And there's so much new work that is happening as a result of, and not even a result, but a ripple effect of stuff that happens here. And so we want to continue that momentum, and momentum just gets faster, right? And so I think we're like, the ball's still at the top of the hill and we're ready to go. So, and this group is, I can tell, ready to roll with us. And the people, and the last thing I want to say right now, and then I'll hand it back to you, Arya, is just that the people that show up in these streams and are in the chats here are only like a fraction of who we're talking about, right? When we talk about NH Talk and we talk about this movement, it is like so much bigger than what is just, this is an important piece of it, but there's so much happening outside of this. I was trying to put numbers around it the other day, and like, there is and this is kind of what I always come back to, is that like I had less than 10,000 followers when I started posting about New Hampshire politics, and I now have almost 40,000. And I know a significant amount of those people are from New Hampshire and are following me because I'm talking about New Hampshire. So like and those people are messaging me, they're in the DMs, they're asking for resources, they're trying to get connected. We have, last I checked, there's 150 people in our Discord. Like there's all these different places that this work is happening. We have these community events that are happening. We have people showing up. We've got Wild Child, I think, just showed up, is new to the community. Wild Child is the one that I think I told this story on a live previously, that you joined a John Kuiper stream and you were quizzing him about Palestine and he got very confused. But I was like, he's going to get there. Just let him figure out what you're asking. But all that to say, there's new people coming in every time, right? And so we're thinking about how do we kind of get those people more engaged, and it's going to be a multi-pronged approach, and we see ourselves as people who can kind of help support all these different efforts and bring people together. And so we're hoping to continue doing that. So like, let's keep the ideas going. Sinahan in the chat offered to host a lovely dinner for us, which I've been begging her to do since like literally we met on the internet 10 months ago or something. But I think there's so many people that are in different stages of their journey here that I appreciate so greatly. And I appreciate everyone's vulnerability and willingness to share on this app. I think there's a video that a bunch of people sent to me that I just wanted to say that like I don't consider this an echo chamber. I think it's an echo chamber in the sense that every online community is an echo chamber, in the sense that we have found people who share similar opinions and then are taking that to real life and activating and making real change. And so I just want my only concern is I just didn't want anyone to ever feel discouraged by any of that kind of sentiment, because I see the vulnerability it takes for people on here to put themselves out there on social media. I see the vulnerability, and I know it's hard to kind of put yourself out there on social media. So I'm grateful to everyone who's been doing that and educating through their experiences, especially after last week. I think I was a little frustrated seeing that video after like Arya specifically had just given like a master class in like, how do you use social media to drive people to get there, right? You use social media to get people to show up to that meeting in Nashua. You used your live stream to keep people engaged. There was a whole conversation going the whole time you were live about what other cities is this happening in? How do people help? How can people get involved? And then posting the video after that got a lot of traction and showed people, demystified the experience of showing up to a town meeting like that and speaking out. And I think that work is extremely important. And so I don't want anyone to feel that what we're doing here does not have a real world impact, because it absolutely does. I know that. I've seen it. I've already seen it. I've seen the evidence every single day. And so I'm going to keep committing to this and helping grow this community as much as I can, because there's some really important, powerful work happening here. And I'm like really grateful to be doing this with all of you guys. And I'm grateful to know you guys, because it's like I found so many people in this community that are like genuinely incredible human beings. And even if like we haven't met in person yet and we're just internet friends, like it does feel real to me. So if you want to come hang out in real life, now I'll plug my shit, right? I'll transition right in. But no, I don't know. I don't make any money from this. You know what I mean? So I have, we're going to do a podcast. My next podcast episode is going to be on Tuesday at Auspicious Brew. We've got some great guests. We have folks coming from Cultivate New Hampshire. We've got folks coming from Red's Good Vibes, and we've got folks coming from SOS Recovery and Folded Diner. We're all talking about creative and interesting ways to feed the community. We're really in a time of great need here in New Hampshire, and there's a huge food insecure, like lack of food security for folks. So we're going to be talking about that, and I'm really excited. And that's Tuesday, and the link is in my TikTok bio. And I think that's all. I think that's it. That's Marissa's closing spiel for the day.
No, that's great. It's hard to come after, to come after that. But we did talk a lot. I mean, obviously, I think we were both kind of feeling down about like the tone of some of those videos that were coming out and some of the comments that were coming out based on how we were feeling. But I think that we Um, I think our goal is clear here now, and if it wasn't clear before, which is like I'm not looking to fight anyone. I'm not looking, as a movement, we're not looking to divide. We're not looking to bury anyone or to bring up the past. What we're looking to do is to activate a population of New Hampshire that is not activated. Historically, that isn't activated. No one goes after them. We're talking about Gen Z and we're talking about leftists. There's a lot of them here. There is a lot of them here. And like going to those events, like part of having the courage to show up there is from you guys too. You guys are so supportive. You guys are so motivating. When I question myself, you guys aren't in a room with me. You guys make me like, you drive me. You give me the confidence to do it. And then I reach that hump. I do it once and now I can do it forever. And now I rely on you guys for all kinds of confidence. Anytime I feel like maybe I'm crossing a line somewhere in one of my videos, because I do like to, I am a habitual line stepper out here. I question myself. I question if I'm coming out too strong, and then I hear a bunch of people from New Hampshire talk, and they would love to say that's an echo chamber. But again, and I have no hate towards anyone that is calling this an echo chamber, but every modern movement in your lifetime started as an echo chamber. Me Too, Black Lives Matter, the Arab Spring. These are all the Tea Party, Free State Movement. Okay, every one of these modern movements started on the internet. So don't let people decide what your activism looks like, okay? And realize that throughout this journey, it's going to get more difficult. It's going to get harder before it gets easier. There are going to be landmines everywhere. But if you work for something instead of against something, again, it's time to change our perspective as a greater party, as a greater leftist movement, that we are not in the business of scaring people to the polls. It's not good enough. It's not good enough to scare people to the polls. You have to give them hope. You have to get them to want to show up, not to feel obligated. There's a difference here. There is a major difference. And again, we can tap into this because there's no secret formula here. It's just getting to people where they are, convincing them there's more of us out there and that there's more of us than them. And all of a sudden, the momentum takes off. And before you know it, we are the Tea Party. We are the insurgent faction that is making change in New Hampshire. And again, I'm going to repeat it one more time. New Hampshire is, yes, we're a baby. We're 1.4 million. We don't but the amount of institutional power New Hampshire has within the Democratic Party cannot be ignored. So if you do control this state, you control more than this state. You control an entire narrative at that point. You are ahead of everyone else. And I just keep the blinders on, baby. It's gonna get harder before it gets easier. And anytime you lose hope, you come to me, okay? And I'll give you one of these pep talks for free. I can't guarantee it's gonna be free forever, but for now it's free. So come, okay?
If you're here, if you're one of our first 100 Twitch viewers, you get free pep talks for life from
Absolutely.
Arya. Sign up now for our Patreon.
Absolutely. That's all I got to say. And thank you guys. You guys are awesome. You really are, for showing up and for your support. And I'm excited about Auspicious, and I hope to see you guys all there.
Yay. I hope to see you. Arya canceled on me 3 times in a row. So let's see if we make
Blowing
it
up
to
my
the 4th.
spot. Yeah, now I have to come. All right, I have to come. I'll dance. How about that?
Oh, just kidding. I'll see you guys soon, hopefully in real life, and I'll talk to you on the other side.
Bye, guys.
We'll
Love
be
you
back
guys.
on Friday. We're gonna be early Friday. We'll post some shit about it.
Absolutely. And I might be on tonight, so keep your notifications on. I'll talk to you guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So now I have to act like it. I didn't see it. I didn't see it. I was looking ahead. I was looking ahead. Okay, here we go.
Yes, I know I'm still streaming.